Hi, I am Lynn Aliya. I am the author of the new book, Speakeasy, A Radically New Approach to Public Speaking, Less Fear, More Fun. And before I even start discussing my book, I want to give a massive shout out to the Boulder Bookstore for inviting me to have this Q&A. I first discovered the Boulder Bookstore when I was in my first year of graduate school at CU Boulder. I was studying theater. It's still truly one of my very favorite places, favorite bookstores to just get lost and to discover new books. So what an honor to be here to get to discuss my new book, Speakeasy. So thank you, Boulder Bookstore, for making this happen. I encourage everybody to head on down to Boulder Bookstore so that you can discover the magic as well. Speaking of magic, that's how I think of my book. I like to tell people to forget everything that you've ever learned about public speaking before. Speakeasy, my book, it's a radically new approach to public speaking that will transform the way you speak in public from page to stage. I created a method that anyone can craft a speech in under 5 minutes. I know I sound like, it might sound like have I got a bridge for you? But it's like a Mad Libs-esque game where I give you prompts and it alleviates that fear of the blank page syndrome. Where do I start? You will have, it's like all those random Post-it notes of ideas that are floating in your brain. I give you prompts, you plug them in, and presto, speaking of magic, they automatically come out in under 5 minutes as a speech, guaranteed. The second part of the book is how do we bring our words to life? And the third part of the book is how do we get this on our feet and start practicing and being able to stand with confidence in front of an audience. I'm an actor by trade. I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London and spent a lot of time doing improv, studying at Second City. And this is sort of the culmination of everything that I know about acting, about improv, about being in front of an audience, how real actors and real performers train to be able to stand in front of a group of people. So there's a lot packed in short, but it has these beautiful illustrations. I have this incredible editor and illustrator. Her name is Tanya Jenny. She helped me put this all together. And it basically tells the story of how you start, where do you start, and writing, and then how do you get to the end on stage to perform. What inspired me to write this book, and how did I develop it? These are some of the questions that Boulder Bookstore asked me to talk about. I taught public speaking for almost 2 decades at the college level, and I would always teach the very traditional way of public speaking. When I was first taught how to teach public speaking, I was giving an outline, and I would teach that, and then the students would perform, and I would grade them on that. And about halfway into my tenure as a professor teaching public speaking, we were having so much fun, a class of mine. We were having so much fun. And then came that day when I handed out the outline on how to write a speech. And it was as if I betrayed them. I swear they threw like tomatoes at me. They booed me. It was just horrible. And I go, all right, let's play a game. I had no idea what we were going to do. I said, all right, grab a piece of paper, make a tic-tac-toe board. Here are the only rules. Work with an open heart. Don't second guess yourself. Spelling doesn't count. There's no right and wrong answers. And I made up this, as I mentioned, Mad Libs-esque game. And one by one, my students started to go up and perform these speeches in 5 minutes. And I was blown away by it. And over the years, I developed it. I coach. I also train doctors in medical empathy. And but I just kept trying it and trying it. And I was always there to hold people's hand and coach them on. You could see I'm pretty enthusiastic about things. But people encouraged me to get it down on paper. And it took a really, really long time, really long time to get it down on paper, because it just was really hard for me to visually put down my enthusiasm in a book until, as I just mentioned, I met my editor and my illustrator, Tanya Jenny. We really collaborated and she got it. So that was the inspiration for that. Boulder Bookstore asks, what, if anything, is different about speaking to a live audience versus a virtual, especially when you can't see the audience? Such a great question. I've already mentioned about 17 jobs that I have, but one of my other main gigs is I am a DJ at a country radio station. I'm the drive home gal. So every day I'm talking to nobody, just me, studio, and a microphone. My job is to be the eyes, to be the guide to people sitting in their cars who are trying to navigate their way home through terrible traffic, through a really bad day at work, to cheer them up through snowstorms, through fires. I'm there as their companion. And so when you can't see the audience, what I do is I imagine that I'm sitting right next to them in the passenger seat, just trying to make them feel at ease. And I think that's the key, regardless whether you are virtual or whether you're standing at a podium. Your job is to make your audience feel at ease, to give them information that they did not know before. You have the information, but they don't. And so you're there as their guide. And I think that, again, whether you're virtual or in front of an audience, your job remains the same, to make it about them, to shine the light on your audience. What's one simple tip you have to help people get over their fear of public speaking? I think that's it. It's not about you. I don't mean to sound callous, but it's not about us. It's really about, how can I make things easier for your audience? How can I also add value and add to the conversation? And I think if we get out of our own way, easier said than done, and really just take our spotlight instead of like, how do I look? How do I sound? And share what we know with other people and helping them just with one little tidbit. I think we're doing our job. So what are a couple of books that I have read recently that I have really loved? My favorite question. I have read, it's up here, I don't think you can see it. My favorite author, William Boyd, just came out with a brand new book. It is called Gabriel's Moon, and it feels like you're reading a Graham Greene book, but it's actually a William Boyd book. It's so good. It's so good. But I pulled a book because I think every single person should be reading this book. It's called The Great Divide. It's by Christina Enriquez. It's about the building of the Panama Canal. With what's going on right now, it's on the cover of the New York Times just yesterday. Every single person should read this book. I actually wish it were twice the size. It will give you insight into a brand new world. This and this are my two recommendations. If you're looking for nonfiction, read this one. Boulder Bookstore, they asked me just two more questions. One, is there anything else that you want us to know about your book? Yeah, I feel like if I can do this, and I seem so probably fluid and happy, but I suffer from intense stage fright, and I get up in front of an audience, as I mentioned, every day. I feel like if I could give you that sense of ease, just a little empower you by reading this book, that would be great. I am definitely a type of person who underlines and highlights, and I hope that you'll find something that's just a treasure and really meaningful to you as well. They asked if I could read a short passage from the book. Should AI write your speech? The night before Martin Luther King delivered his historic I Have a Dream speech, he gathered with 7 close advisors in his hotel room to put the final touches on it. The following morning, copies of his finished speech were delivered to the press. King was slated to speak last on that historic August day. After 8 hours in the sweltering DC heat, Dr. King approached the podium and addressed his heat-exhausted audience. Somewhere in the 7th paragraph, Dr. King had a brief pause. In that silence, Mahalia Jackson, MLK's favorite gospel singer, standing just to the left and behind King, shouted, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." And in that fleeting pause in time, history was changed forever. Dr. King set aside his prepared script and in the spirit of the moment began, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Now, imagine if AI had generated his speech. "I project a future where this nation will elevate and actualize the core principles of its vision. Furthermore, that everyone should experience equitable treatment through innovative and transformative solutions." In an era when the computer can write our speeches for us, it's very tempting to use AI. Just plug in a few keywords and Shazam, your work is done for you. Yet, if you listen closely, how many times have you sat through a graduation speech, a corporate presentation, a wedding toast, where you turn to the person next to you and you say, "This is insulting to listen to this AI-generated nonsense. If I have to listen to one more word of effective or furthermore or innovation one more time, I am going to pull my hair out." That's because speaking isn't just about words. It's an exchange of energy between you and your audience, a dialogue. This exchange is a conversation that carries a vibration. Audiences can sense the difference. Before you give AI a chance to write your speech, please stop. There's no substitution for what comes from your heart. Your voice is irreplaceable, and we want to hear what you have to say. So thank you. I really am just so delighted to get to have done this Q&A. Thank you to the Boulder Bookstore for these incredible questions and for the opportunity. If you want to know more about the Speakeasy Method, you can go to my website. That's speakeasymethod.net. You can preview the book there. You could sign up for my newsletter, online courses, and all that other stuff. Thank you, more importantly, and have a wonderful 2025.